Boy, you know you make me float. Boy, you really get me high. Ooh, it's you.
Hi, friends. Welcome back to Black and Curious. I am Kandron.
What's up? It's Dehjai.
All right.
So I had was brought back to a sermon that I saw a couple of years ago from Pastor Tori Roberts, and he was talking about like soulmates and wholeness and like knowing when you find the one. And so like he has like this whole like most pastors do, they give you like 5 tips or like 7 tips to know, stuff like that. But it wasn't cliche in the sense of like giving you all these religious steps. Like Pastor Torre isn't really like that. So like if you're familiar with him, if you're not familiar with him, excuse me, he is the pastor for what used to be One Church LA, and it's now the Potter's House LA, I believe. And then they also have like the Potter's House Denver.
And he's married to Sarah Jakes Roberts.
Yes. And we love her.
Who is the GOAT, in my humble opinion.
We love her.
Like, I will listen. I was raised in the church, but I am not super churchy. But Sarah Jakes Roberts can always elicit a response from me. Like, literally, I have to be careful where I watch or listen to her sermons, because I have listened to them on the way to work, for instance, and arrived at work in full tears. So she elicits a response from me unlike any other pastors that I've ever encountered.
I can see that. That their church like home, I was gonna say system, but that's not. But like but they're like their setup always elicits a response out of me. My words is leaving me today, child.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I thoroughly enjoy the Tories, the Roberts. I assure you, I am not drinking.
I just finished mine.
My brain is on. So anyway, so let's get on with it, right? So this sermon I think was from 2016 or earlier. And so like I just wrote down what he said. So he said it's called Soulmates. If you're looking for it, I'll try to make sure that I link it in our like description box or something like that. Mm-hmm. So he said that there are 5 pillars to building a relationship, and that's chemistry, connection, wholeness, divine confirmation, and purpose. Mm-hmm. And he defines these things. So chemistry, obvi, is like something is there, a feeling, etc. Connection is a draw, a desire, a need to be near one another, and that need will be mutual and equal. He says that wholeness qualifies the connection, feeling of there being a feeling of completeness and void of codependency. He also said that soulmates do not fill voids. They are more so a mutual complement to one another's lives. And divine confirmation, basically he defined as a sign from God, and purpose, typically you'll know what the purpose is when that person arrives. Like the lessons that you learn, the experiences that you had, like you'll understand the purpose in your connection and or union, basically.
Gotcha.
And so I wanted to kind of talk through this in the sense that, as you guys know, we've had several conversations around my dating woes and me dating with intention at this point in my life. And then also almost at this point, I feel like I'm just not dating at all, but obviously we're in the Coviana. So like most people are not really, like, well, I can't speak for most people, but like people who are trying to be safe are not out here in these streets.
Because the girls are outside, let me tell you.
Listen, and tell you about it too. The children don't care nothing about Miss Rona.
The girls are
and so I just wanted to have a conversation around these pillars because it was just interesting to me.
Okay.
I feel like I was brought back to this sermon primarily because of where I am in my life and what it is that I'm seeking, and how, because we've had a conversation or a few at this point about like unlearning and relearning. And my biggest thing has been like reevaluating the relationships that I have. So not just like intimate unions, but like even friendships, familial ties. And so I figure that his pillars could be applied to both platonic and intimate relationships.
Definitely.
And I just was curious about your thoughts around that.
The one that really leaps out to me that I think a lot of people don't talk about enough is wholeness. I think biologically we know chemistry. We hear a lot about the feels, which it would be the connection. But wholeness really jumps out to me because I really do believe that like a relationship is not a completion. It's not there to complete you. It's there to maybe like round out your skills. It may be there to like round out your understanding, but it's not there to like you should be whole on your own and have peace within yourself on your own, with or without the relationship. You should be able to function in the world and live a full life. Now, if you want to be in a relationship, that's one thing. I'm not saying you have to live alone or have to, have that experience, but I really do feel like too many people are out here looking for a relationship to fill in the voids, and I don't think that's what it's for.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think that ironically enough, I'm going to say this again, but I was listening to a conversation on, what is that podcast? It's on YouTube. Dear Future Wifey, or I don't know. I'm probably butchering the title, but he had a live like conversation a couple of months ago where he had some of his guests, his most popular guests, come back on and kind of talk about where they were from, whatever time period they were on the show and now. And of course, my favorite internet love, Fitman Cook.
What is Fitman Cook doing with himself?
He was on and he was talking about his like relationship now, or the whatever I don't know what he was calling the situation, but I know that he's in a relationship, but at the time that this is recorded, I don't know what he called it, but that doesn't matter. He was basically saying like he was taking this process, this dating experience very seriously. And under the guise of like something that his mom had said about how young people these days like latch on to one another and then say claim to one another long before you really know whether or not this is someone that you want in your life, or that this is someone that's a mutual complement, to the point of, which one was that where he said that it's a compliment of the wholeness conversation. And so he said that his mom was just kind of like, y'all don't even really know one another. Like, y'all, why can't you be friends and then really decide like whether or not this is someone that is for you? That person may not ever be for you.
Right.
And so like to put a stamp on it and a name on it and to lock something down and you don't really have any understanding of the person that you are staking claim over, like you do a detriment to yourself.
I think I agree with that.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, Mom Dukes. I like this conversation. And I also liked his stance where he was speaking about the dating experience that he's having now. I'm just going to say relationship because that sounds ridiculous to keep trying to figure out how to classify what's going on. But he was saying that he is more so interested in the character of his partner and how they complement each other, even as friends. Like, do I even really like you? Like, yes, I may have
thing is important.
Yeah, like I may have romantic feelings towards you, but like those romantic feelings aren't going to always be present in a long, lifelong relationship. Like he's looking to get married. And so his point was like, there will be points where we don't like each other, but we still love each other. And so like if, I don't know, maybe he didn't say that, maybe that was the other person, but either way, If in those moments of not liking one another, but still knowing that there's love there, love is not going to be enough to keep people together if you genuinely just don't like one another. Like that's my own. And so you might, and this is my experience, not from being in relationships with people, but from growing up in this environment where you might love someone because you have did great things together, you've had children together, you have, like, your life has been like dramatically changed and transitioned from what it was because of the union of the two of you, but you stick together because of those things. But then at the same token, you dislike them as a person, and you don't spend time, and you don't connect, and you don't there is no friendship there.
Yeah.
And for me, I understand this experience as a product of that.
Right.
And that is why I have been adamant. I've always said, probably even when I was really young, that I wanted my partner to be my best friend. And people were like, oh, well, like, your man shouldn't be your best friend. That's what you got girlfriends for.
I mean, I'm one of those people, but go ahead.
I understand that, but I'm not looking to have my partner be the person that I'm like gossiping to about X, Y, and Z, that like he don't give a shit about. Like, but I want to be able to do those things with this, like, I gotta like you, like, we gotta have something common. Sure. I want to be able to sit on the couch with you, like, looking crazy, we just at home, not out in the streets, like that. Those are things that are important to me.
I think there should be a friendship underlying. I'm very cautious about making this is an aside, but not really. So I listened to Esther Perel, who we both love, and she talked about how the flaw with a lot of relationships now, and why not all of the reason why the divorce rate is so high, is that, but some of it is that people are looking to their partner to be their everything, and that you should not. That's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm cautious about, is like, your partner should not be like your best friend and like your friend, your love. Like, it's just too much. It's too much pressure on one person to be able to fulfill all of these roles that you ought to have a community for. So that's the only reason why I say that I don't think your partner should be your best friend. But that's a personal thing. I think for some people it works, but for other people it doesn't. But I think there should be some sort of friendship underlying, for sure.
Like, for me, I just want you to be my homie. Like, for us to just be like,
definitely,
having our own inside jokes and like kikiing about stuff that don't make no sense, because I'm
definitely,
you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I want to be able to do that type of stuff with you. And those are the qualities that I found in relationships, like friendships with men, that I was like, you know what? If I could have this type of dynamic in my intimate partner, I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, it's still like we got each other and get each other.
Yeah. And I think, I think that's very, very important. Going back briefly to the wholeness conversation, and I'm going to like throw in some Sarah Jakes Roberts in there, because it was funny. I was watching a interview with her, I think, and she was saying when she met Pastor Torre, she was very much in a space where she was like, I'm over this and I'm not doing this anymore. And I don't care about dating and I don't care about men. I have my family. Like, I think she had 2 kids at that time, or 2 or 3. And was just kind of like, look, I'm going to worry about me and my kids, and I'm going to work on myself. And like, the biggest thing that kind of allowed her to like let her walls down and like really embrace him was the fact that he let her be her. And and I guess this sort of goes to like the purpose piece of like, he was just as invested in her desires and her dreams and her goals as she was. And he was very invested and wanted her to like be as fulfilled as she could possibly be. And sometimes I don't always think that's the case. And I think it's really important that you allow people to be themselves, to get the best version of them, and to get the most get the best version of them, but also the most full, so they have something to give to you. You have to let people be who they are, and seek the purpose however they choose to seek it. And I think that really I kind of underlined that in my head of like, oh, okay, well, she was complete and whole on her own, and she, when she met him, and he had to do some convincing to make her see that he was not going to be in her way.
I think that's also important too, like,
Yeah,
to your point of like really knowing who it is that you are, and then what you want, and then how all that shows up in the world as it relates to your intimate relationships and your like platonic ones. I think that's super important.
Definitely. So the rest of these are kind of, I don't call them basic, but like things that we kind of heard of before. Like,
I mean,
is there any of the other ones that you really want to talk through?
The divine confirmation piece is definitely not basic.
No, it's not, but it's like, I feel like we have it in our lexicon in terms of like, oh, I believe this person was sent to me. Like, people say that kind of stuff all the time. I mean, that's not,
in that regard. Yeah, I get that.
I'm not saying like I think it is important. But that's something I feel like we have in our lexicon. But if you want to talk through it a little bit more, we can do that. We're here.
No, I mean, like, so the divine confirmation piece for me, I recognize that at this big age, my new phrase these days, that I am like, well, I've already said this on several different episodes of ours, but like I'm dating differently, which you should after a certain point in life.
I mean, you should if you want a certain type of relationship. I mean, if you were still happy to casually date, you should continue to casually date. But yes, you're looking for something different, so you should be dating differently.
I realize like on the back end, so not necessarily looking outwardly for divine confirmation about this person, because that's always going to come if you are aware enough to see it. I think that for me, the divine confirmation is within myself and how I'm growing up. And what I mean by that is like, I have just kind of stopped entertaining like the seat fillers, if you will, or like those who just, basically, the people that you choose to pass the time with. I just have no desire to do any of that.
No, I think that's dope that you have hit that point and you're committed to like finding what it is that you want, and you're not gonna be entertaining nonsense anymore. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, like, understandably, like to the conversation we were clowning about the listener letter from the other show. So if y'all watched it, we're talking about. But I just, you will have those moments where there are itches that you need to have scratched, but is it more important to scratch the itch and be temporarily satisfied than to continue to wait on what it is that you actually desire?
Right. And to get a longer term outcome.
Right. To be like, long-term satisfied, not temporarily satisfied. Like,
yeah, and I think that's an individual decision. Some people are better at temporary situations than others.
I mean, I've done so in the past and it's fine. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying like some people are better at like juggling the two, but no, like definitely if it's what you're looking for, then you should totally go after that wholeheartedly.
Yeah. So I feel like we've kind of talked through this conversation.
Thanks, Listen.
So let us know what your thoughts are. Give us some feedback on your experiences in dating with intention and dating without that intention. And if any of these 5 pillars actually align with you all in terms of your experiences, both intentionally and unintentionally. And I will give you them one more time before we're heading out the door. It's chemistry, connection, wholeness, divine confirmation, and purpose.
Yeah, tell us what you think about it in the comments, and Until then, or until next time. Follow us everywhere, Black and Curious, and then it's just Black and the letter N Curious on Twitter, Black and Curious everywhere else. And like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you the next time.
Boy, you know you make me float. Boy, you really get me high.